man, I feel so bad for the Gators. Actually, no, I don't. Anyway, guys, Logan Battles here, and welcome to another episode of Logan Battles Football Talk, where I'll be giving some pretty long discussions about any football-related subject. Football coach, player, game, schedule, stadium, you name it. For this one, we are going to be talking about the Georgia and Florida game, which happened yesterday. And I watched the whole game, and I figured, why not do this episode about the whole game? So, first off, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist laughing just because of the score, the final score of the game. Georgia destroyed Florida 42-7. That was the final score of the game, 42-7. The undefeated number 3 ranked team in the nation from Georgia just beat the Gators from Florida. How ironic is that? Or no, actually, let me take that back. How hilarious is that? Yeah, I would say that's hilarious. Anyway, I'm going off topic. I apologize. I just couldn't help but celebrate the Gators lost to that game. Anyway, like I said, I've watched the whole game, and I figured doing this episode about the whole game, and I'm doing something a little bit different. I've noticed that the last few episodes I've done for this series, I've noticed that every time I try to come up with something to say, I always wasted my time thinking about what I was going to say. So doing something different in this episode, I actually put down a few notes that I think about wanting to say for this episode. Just to get it on with the whole episode and all that stuff, I just put down a few notes so that I will know what to say for this episode. So I've written down a few notes of what I want to say in regards to this game between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Florida Gators. So let's dive into it, shall we? And you already know, if you watch the game, you know what just happened. The Gators lost so badly to the Georgia Bulldogs, the undefeated number 3 ranked Georgia Bulldogs team. They're now 8-8, or no, I'm sorry, not 8-8, and 8-0, undefeated, hadn't lost to a team yet. How? If you are a Georgia fan, you should be proud of your team. That is all I will say for now. I made a few notes here, and one of the things I want to talk about is Georgia. First, I will kick this off. Georgia made 14 first downs, and also made 2 takeaways. Meaning, okay, never mind. It's turnovers. Yeah, they made 2 turnovers, not turnovers, takeaways, and a pass for over 100 yards, and rush for nearly 300 yards. I am sorry if you heard my dog barking, then I apologize. So yeah, I mean, Georgia did very well. Now, I watched the statistics for the game, and Florida had a lot better stats than the Georgia Bulldogs did. That they have better statistics, even though they lost very badly to the Georgia Bulldogs. Which is another thing that's hilarious to me. They have better statistics, but they got dominated by a team that have very not so good statistics. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. But yeah, they made 14 first downs, 2 takeaways, over 100 yards in passing, nearly 300 yards, in rushing and all that stuff. So, yeah, the statistics for the Georgia Bulldogs game was pretty good. Well, somewhat good. The Florida statistics are pretty much better than Georgia's statistics for the game, of course. But yeah, you get the whole point. I already mentioned that. So, another thing that I've written down was this, and I've been wanting to talk about this ever since yesterday. Within this one is within the last 8 weeks, the Georgia Bulldogs that are now 8-0, undefeated, unranked, the Georgia Bulldogs have outscored their SEC opponents, and here it is. Are you ready for this? 212 to 52. Let me repeat. Within the last 8 weeks, the Georgia Bulldogs have outscored their SEC opponents 212 to 52. 212 to 52. And the reason how I know that and why I put it there is because I checked Georgia's last 8 games, like I already put it in that note. I checked the last 8 games that Georgia had, and they they put up some big numbers. I think they only had 30 plus points, and that is one thing that I will get into in just a few minutes. That's also a note that I put down, but we will get into that. The only team that I could think of competitively that Georgia did not outscore was Notre Dame. Why you ask? Well, if you hadn't paid attention to the Georgia schedule, in one of their games against Notre Dame, Georgia only won the game by 1 point. 1 single point. And what was the score? Well, it was 20-19. Georgia beat Notre Dame by 1 point. So there you have it. Georgia only had 1 tough game, and that's about it. That's about it. Everything else, Georgia pretty much went through every single team that went in their way. I mean, yeah, that they didn't just beat their SEC opponents; they beat them up pretty badly. Yeah, that's pretty much surprising, considering that Georgia had a few losses last season, and they're now undefeated this year, and are now the number 2 ranked team in the nation right now. So yeah, that's the second point. Okay, another thing, and I'll try to say this without laughing my butt off. Here it is. In the third quarter, after Georgia scored their 4th touchdown and they made a kickoff to the Florida Gators, the Gators fumbled the ball and the Bulldogs recovered it, and get this, went to the end zone to score a touchdown. I'm sorry, I can't say it without laughing because it's hilarious. Florida fumbled the ball, and not only that, Georgia recovered it and then went to the end zone for a touchdown. How freaking hysterical is that? It's freaking hysterical, I must say. After watching that play, I was dying from laughter after seeing that. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I apologize. Oh boy, I just love that. It was beautiful. It was such it was nothing short of hysterical. I must say that. It was freaking hilarious. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out because I just loved it, and I love it when I saw that play happen. You know, seeing Florida fumble the ball and then Georgia recovered it and then score a touchdown. It was just that awesome. and that's about it for now. Georgia shut out Florida within the first 45 minutes or the first 3 quarters of the game, 35-0. That's unexpected. I must admit, I didn't expect that to happen. Now, going back to that, I actually predicted the score for this game, 38-7, Georgia. And I was right about the score for Florida. They did score a touchdown, which lead them to 7. I predicted that they would score only 1 touchdown, and they did. For Georgia, I predicted them to be 38 points, which is 5 touchdowns and a field goal, if I'm not mistaken. But they scored a lot more than that. A little bit more than that. They scored 6 touchdowns in the game. The whole entire game, they scored 6 touchdowns. Not even a field goal. That's another unexpected thing I pretty much didn't expect. Anyway, but yeah, it was pretty surprising that Georgia just completely dominated Florida. But yeah, anyway, what else am I going to say? I said that Georgia would have beaten Florida pretty badly. Okay, this game, this is what I put. This is a note that I put. This game was Georgia's first win against Florida since 2013. Not only that, this is also the first dominant. This is Georgia's first dominant win against Florida since 1982. 1982, Georgia's first dominant win against the Gators. The last time they have a dominant win against the Gators, they were 44-0. They beat the Gators 44-0. That was in 1982. The last time they got dominant against the Gators. So it was really cool for at least someone who hates of the Florida Gators to see the Gators get beat up pretty badly. Excuse me. Yeah. I mean, again, it was funny. and pretty cool. Okay, this is one I've been wanting to talk about. In the first quarter, the Georgia Bulldogs shut out the Florida Gators with 3 touchdowns, which lead them to 21-0. Or 21-0, you mean. But yeah, the reason I've been wanting to talk about it is because, like I said, the Georgia Bulldogs scored 3 touchdowns in the first quarter of the game and didn't even give up a touchdown, a field goal, hell, even a safety against the Florida Gators. Not even a safety that they've given up against the Gators. I mean, now, again, I must admit, I did not expect that. I really didn't expect the Georgia Bulldogs to score that much, and that much early. You know, scoring 3 touchdowns in the first quarter, that really set the tone for the whole game. I must say, you get what I'm saying? Three touchdowns in the first quarter. I was expecting a defensive battle in the first quarter. Or the second quarter, for that matter. Even if, I should say the first half of the game, I was expecting a defensive battle between the two. But, I mean, you kind of get that in the second quarter, but in the first half, or first quarter, you got Georgia scoring three touchdowns in the first quarter. That's unexpected as well. What else? This was the sixth consecutive week. This week for not this week, but last week on Saturday. This was the sixth consecutive week that the Georgia Bulldogs have scored 30 plus points against their opponents. The biggest of which was against Missouri, which they beat Missouri 53-28. That was their biggest score, 53 points. And the only game that Georgia that I last checked did not score that much points was against Notre Dame. That was the only that's the only game so far this year that Georgia has not scored that much, 30 points. Yeah. I mean, that kind of shows you how good Notre Dame would be, which they are right now. They only got one loss, and that is to Georgia. But I'm not going to get into Notre Dame right now. And it's really interesting. I must say, 6 straight week, the Georgia Bulldogs have scored more than 30 points. That is another unexpected thing that we didn't see coming. What else? I'm sorry, guys. I'm just reading a list as I go along. Okay. Alright, for this whole entire game, after the Georgia Bulldogs beat the Florida Gators, just for me personally, I don't think a lot of people don't feel the way I feel, and that's fine, but this is how I feel. After the Georgia Bulldogs beat the Florida Gators 42-7, the Bulldogs really set this game, just for me, they set this game as a reminder that they could possibly be the one and only team, and some of you are not gonna believe when I say this, gonna be the only one team to beat Alabama this year. Yeah, that's right. I said it. As far as I'm concerned, the Georgia Bulldogs are the only team this year that I feel like could beat Alabama. I said it. I'm not going to back down from saying that because the schedule that I see from Georgia's doing a hell of a job right now, both offensively and defensively. So based on that, they set a reminder, as I already mentioned, set the reminder that they could possibly be the team to beat Alabama, probably in the SEC title game this year. So yeah, I just said it. Y'all can put in the hate comments in the comments section below saying, Logan, you don't know what you're talking about. The Georgia Bulldogs aren't going to do very much to Alabama. Whatever. That's your opinion if you are an Alabama fan. And I think that this could be the last point that I want to make. The Georgia Bulldogs, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Georgia Bulldogs are ranked number 6 in the nation in rushing defense. Not only that, and correct me if I'm really wrong on this, they're ranked number 3 in the nation in passing defense. Now, I checked the stats for both rushing defense and passing defense. And I only found one rushing defense. And I see that Georgia is ranked at the number 6 spot. And stuff like that. And I didn't see any passing defense. It just says passing yards allowed. And I didn't really care that much about that stat. I just cared about the passing defense. So, yeah. And I think I'm getting through. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just one last point that I want to make. And this is also what I put down. Based on their current record, which is 8-0, that the Georgia Bulldogs are at now, and if Georgia continuously win more games, probably win the last 4 games, if I remember correctly, if they win their last 4 regular season games, then they will face Alabama in this year's SEC title game. If they keep winning and winning and winning within their last 4 games in the regular season, they will face the undefeated Alabama team. And this will be an undefeated matchup between 2 undefeated SEC teams. That is going to be a must-watch game, for sure, if that ever happens, if Georgia doesn't lose a game. Which is a possibility, if you could say that. But for me, yeah, the Georgia Bulldogs could possibly go into the regular season undefeated, 12-0, possibly. I'm not saying that will happen. I'm just pointing that out as a possibility. Okay? Anyway, I think that's about all that I put down of what I wanted to say for this episode. So, yeah, guys, I just realized that this episode surpassed 20 minutes. This is probably the longest a Logan Battles Football Talk episode I have ever done. So anyway, guys, I mean, that's about all I will say for now. So anyway, guys, this is my 17th episode of Logan Battles Football Talk. I think it's the 17th episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please click the like button and comment down below to let me know what you think. Do you think the Georgia Bulldogs will be the team to beat Alabama this year? Comment below, let me know. And if you enjoy what you've seen here and you want to see future videos from me, please click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next video. Oh, and by the way, one last thing. I'm going to be watching the Season 1 finale of Stranger Things. And once I'm through with that Season 1 finale, I will be watching Season 2, which was just released today, or yesterday. I will be watching Season 2 tomorrow. And once I'm through with that, I will be uploading my review for Season 2 of Stranger Things the day after tomorrow. So look out for that review when I upload it. And also when I'm done watching Season 2 and the Season 1 finale. So anyway, guys, that's about it. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great week, Battle Squad. And as always, fight the good fight. Peace!